Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the videos. Another paid request, this time from Efree, dear friend of mine. Thank you so much, man. It's actually one of two requests. And he wanted me to do a topic video, Tango and Cash versus Hobbs and Shaw. Which the answer is easy, Tango and Cash. But for those interested, if you want to send in a request for pretty much any type of video, topic, reaction, commentary, re-review, review, randomness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it. Either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, like Hobbs and Shaw, I don't remember hating like other people did, but I do remember being a disappointing film that should have been a lot better, could have been a lot better. I think at the end of the day, I thought it was like an okay, like 3 out of 5 star movie. I think it's harmless entertainment. It's just that it should have been a lot better, and that's what makes it disappointing. You know, I like seeing The Rock and Jason Statham in the same movie. I like Idris Elba being the bad guy and having fun with the role. It's silly, it's goofy, but it's a film that, again, should have been a damn good modern action film, and it wasn't. In fact, most people forgotten about it. That's why it didn't do that well at the box office as much as they wanted. There's no sequel. They were hoping there's going to be a franchise. It didn't. Because it was disappointing in a lot of ways. It wasn't as funny as it could have been. It wasn't as fun in terms of action scenes. I felt the two had better chemistry in the Fast and Furious movie they were in together than they did in this one. So I don't think it was... The writing was as good as it could have been. There's a lot more CGI that just made it a bit more silly, ridiculous. The whole bit with The Rock and Roman Reigns being on the island and doing their ritual, that just felt silly, unneeded, and like, this is where you're going to have your finale? Really? Now, you're doing a Tango and Cash. Tango and Cash is awesome in pretty much all fronts. Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell have better chemistry than what Statham and The Rock had in that movie. Stallone and Kurt Russell, it's Sylvester Stallone, my favorite action star, and Kurt fucking Russell. And as much as I like Statham and The Rock, you know, has his moments, they're never going to be up to Stallone and Kurt Russell. It's Cobra and Snake Plissken. It's Rambo and Jack Burton. Come on now. And again, their chemistry just going back and forth, very smooth, very funny. Explain what FUBAR is, Kurt Russell to Stallone. When they're playing bad cop, worst cop. You're a fucking psycho. Don't forget to write. You're like a piece of shit, ponytail. And it has a guy with a grenade in his mouth. You want to get sticky? Get back, Jack. Do 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 do. You got it, psycho. Even the bit in the shower where, what are you doing? Don't worry. Soap. Don't fly yourself, Pee-wee. I don't know you that well. Okay, Minnie Mouse. Like I said, Stallone and Kurt Russell had great chemistry. That's why it would have been great to see a sequel. But sadly, I think the film made a little bit of money, but with all the issues after the fact where... And the film, I think, turned out a lot better than people assumed, because you had so many issues during the making of that film where a director was fired, and then the film got re-edited, and I think the third act got changed up a bit. That's a film that deserves like a truthful documentary, the ins and outs of that. But it will never happen. But yeah, that's a very fun film, Tango and Cash. You got the music by Harold Faltermeyer. I don't remember a damn thing about the music in Hobbs and Shaw, but I remember the music in Harold Faltermeyer's score. You know, so the score definitely wins over Hobbs and Shaw. The action sequences, all done for real, practical, It's 1989. You don't have CGI going around. You don't have this cartoony filter shit going on. People had to do it for real, whether it be stunt people, whether it be the actors themselves. I mean, look at the opening scene where Stallone's firing and the truck has to stop, and you have real people going through the windshield of this vehicle. All the stuff in the prison, where the prisoners are all coming out of the woodwork, and the action felt more gritty and more and less overly choreographed, like in Hobbs and Shaw. Felt a bit more down and dirty, where Stallone and Caruso are slamming prisoners through glass or just trying to stay alive. And the RV from Hell sequence. You have real vehicles, real explosions, all done in camera, and you just buy into the whole illusion fantasy of action films because you see it all done for real in camera. And you cannot get more real than real. And people just say Tango and Cash is silly, ridiculous, and stuff. Hobbs and Shaw was a superhero movie. I mean, there's literally Idris Elba literally calls himself Black Superman. There's a bit where The Rock is holding on to a helicopter, pretty much holding the helicopter down. They went more of a superhero route, and that made it less interesting for me. I think for a lot of people. Wasn't really the case in Tango and Cash. You had the gritty fight between Stallone and the maniac cop himself, Rob Zadar, in the rain, until ultimately he's able to push and get the guy into these wires to electrocute him. And that's another thing. Tango and Cash felt more violent and R-rated. Because it was. Hobbs and Shaw, I think, was rated, PG-13? But Tango and Cash is rated R. It feels more like a film I'd watch as an adult. Cursing and the violence and blood squibs and people getting shot in the head and people being electrocuted, and even other moments like when Kurt Russell's trying to escape and he sees a body sliding down and realizes one of his friends with his throat cut. And the bad guys, like Idris Elba's fun, but the bad guys in Tango and Cash felt more sinister. Whether it be Rob Zadar, whether it be Brian James, whether it be Jack Palance. You have these great established actors that have done a lot of stuff. Rob Zadar, like I said, was in Maniac Cop films as the main villain. Brian James, he was in a lot of stuff, Brian James. From Blade Runner to 48 Hours to The Horror Show with him and Lance Henriksen. So you have these, and of course Jack Palance was in movies for years. Let alone he was in Batman. He was later on in City Slickers, which he won the Oscar for. Definitely much more fun in a sinister way compared to Idris Elba, that was more fun but goofy. Not intimidating. And I liked Idris Elba as an actor. I think he was fun in that role, but it's definitely more goofy with the super suit. Again, Tango and Cash is more of an 80s action extravaganza. Hobbs and Shaw is more of a superhero movie. That's just how it is. Now, yeah, Tango and Cash, I don't really need to see Kurt Russell in drag. I always thought that moment was kind of a groaner. But not more of a groaner than, again, Roman Reigns and The Rock and all the people doing this ritual out of the blue because of their ancestry. I'm like, do we have time to do this with these bad guys with guns and shit? Like, this is part of your big finale. Like, do you really have time for this? And to be perfectly honest, like, Hobbs and Shaw I haven't seen in so long that I don't remember the movie that much. But Tango and Cash, I remember so many details of lines of dialogue. when they're on trial and they're talking about each of the people that we know and they know are lying about them. When we get out of here, we need to pay Jabba the Hutt the visit. I'll bring the chainsaw. I'll bring the beer. And there were moments of even non-action I remember. Like when you go see the I forget the actor's name, but he was the guy that had the mouse in the Green Mile. I think Michael Jeter might be his name. And Kurt Russell's asking him questions. Well, I mean, you can't do that with this faulty equipment. What are you talking about? And Kurt Russell just blows the shit out of it. As I said, you had Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell at their pinnacle. This is Kurt Russell after The Thing, Big Trouble in China, Escape from New York, Young and Fresh. This is Sylvester Stallone after Rambo 3, right before he's going to, a few years, do Cliffhanger Demolition Man. These are like these guys in their prime, physical prime, again, their great electric chemistry together. I think Tango and Cash is a shorter film, too. At least it felt like a shorter film. As one of the most awesome high fives in film history. Type of high five that move mountains and give women orgasms. Just the most epic high five you'll see in a fucking film. Not really the case in Hobbs and Shaw. And to this day, I bet more people remember Tango and Cash than Hobbs and Shaw. See, that's the thing. Like, Tango and Cash, to me, should have had the cult following the Point Break gets. See, that's the thing that kind of makes me, like, people, oh, what about Point Break? I mean, what about Tango and Cash? I think Tango and Cash, you want to have a buddy movie, dealing with cops, and Tango and Cash, to me, has much more of a cult-worthy ability to have that status than Point Break does. Because again, like, that should have been the film that referenced Hot Fuzz. Not Point Break. Should have been Tango and Cash. But that's just me. That's a film that still, I think, needs a resurgence. Because it's a fucking awesome movie. And Hobbs and Shaw ain't an awesome movie. Again, I thought it was okay. I mean, they both even have a scene where our two main characters get fried and tortured by electrocution. That's what I'm talking about, where the original felt more gritty because you see them more bruised up and bloody and they're hung up. And maybe because of ego, maybe because of the rating, they're not really that bloodied or bruised up in Hobbs and Shaw. I mean, in fact, they literally just got some makeup put on right before the scene. I mean, you compare the two, Tango and Cash just felt, then the blood here and the bruised here, and with the Harold Faltermeyer music, it just felt more serious. And there's a lot of fun, goofy stuff in it, but it just felt like more of a serious movie than Hobbs and Shaw. Again, 80s action movie compared to a fucking superhero movie. Because Hobbs and Shaw is a superhero movie. It might as well be Marvel or DC. Had the same type of humor, same type of feel in the action scenes. Which, hell, I mean, even if you wanted, you could have had more like John Wick, Nobody type of action, but no, it wasn't the case here either. Watered down for the rating system. Which, again, is disappointing, because you got Statham and The Rock, two of the new action guys, finally get together to star in the film, and that happens a lot. I mean, when two known guys get together and Arnold Stallone get together with Steve Plan, that's disappointing. Robin Williams, Billy Crystal get together with Father's Day. I don't mind Father's Day. I like it. Is it disappointing compared to other stuff? Yes, but I like Father's Day. But is it great? No. Like, rare exceptions would be the Michael Mann film Heat, where you have Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, but then they're in Righteous Kill more, and that's disappointing. But the exceptions are like Heat or Tango and Cash, Kurt Russell and Stallone. And then you got Rambo and Steve Plissken. You got Cobra and Jack Burton. great. So yeah, Tango and Cash easily for the win, and then some. Also, that was a day where women could be sexy, like Terry Hatcher. I like the whole bit. Oh, you bumping uglies with my sister? I was so drunk I can't remember. You bumping uglies with my sister? You don't really get any of that type of interaction, natural chemistry in Hobbs and Shaw. But you do get in Tango and Cash. So that mixed in with, I think Tango and Cash is tighter paced. The action is not CGI, superhero, Marvelized. It's rated R. It feels more violent and more my cup of tea. Has a better musical score. Harold Faltermeyer knew what he was doing at this point. Again, I don't know who did the score in this, but it was forgettable. All those and more makes Tango and Cash easily the winner. Because I can't think one thing Hobbs and Shaw did better. So there you go. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.